Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to HotFix, the double six rolling video game podcast. So, explain your logic, son, of starting on the double six.
So, hang on, I'm trying to move. Oh god, I live by the dice these days. The roll of the die is how I live, right? So before anything starts, I roll a d6, right? And if anything happens, I mean, if it's a 1, it's going to be disastrous, so I've got to bail. But if it's a 6, then it's going to be the greatest thing ever. Now, I rolled 1 dice, and it was a 6. That was this one. I then, to show Kiri that it was not faked, rolled another one, and it was also a 6. So this means it's going to be the greatest podcast ever. However, I'm going to roll the dice again, because I'm feeling jazzy.
You're feeling lucky.
Feeling lucky. That's cocked.
It's a cocked. You got to re-roll.
Cocked,
you got to re-roll. You got to re-roll a cocked dice.
Oh.
Don't spoil it now. We started.
Look, I keep rolling doubles though. It's crazy.
If you do that again, then I'm gonna have to send you to jail. That was a Monopoly joke there. That was
What year? No, what year is this?
What year is this?
Let me tell you about an awesome Monopoly game I played.
Ignore this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to adjust the.
Yeah, you fixed it there. Now I've messed with the camera. And I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, about an awesome game of Monopoly I played a few years ago. It didn't have money. It had credit cards and a credit card machine. It was the best. And everything was worth
not proper Monopoly, though.
Hundreds of millions. Yeah, but when you bought like Mayfair, it was like 2 billion. You couldn't do that with normal Monopoly money, could you? It's like, yeah, and you could like do loans and shit. It was amazing. It was honestly the best game of Monopoly I've ever played. It was great.
And I used the time to fix the camera. No one will know. Except they probably will. Could have done.
Right,
could have just started again, but no, we're not going to do that. It's
what
real.
The fuck? Professionalism. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. You know you can support podcast HotFix on Patreon. Podcast HotFix. What? Links everywhere. Description below. Please do support it, even to the value of $1, because that helps us a shitload. Is this show worth a packet of crisps to you? If it is, and that is a month, you know, we're talking about fucking loads of shows every month. And also its sister podcast, which goes out on a Saturday, which you also love. Please consider supporting to $1. And these are the people.
Yeah, no, do that first.
This ain't school.
I don't know what I was pointing, but it doesn't work with this hand because the microphone.
Moving on. And these are the people who have graciously supported us since the last hotfix. Alexander Verzigel, thanks for the support. Alexander Verzigel.
Yeah,
Alexander Verzigel, thank you for the support. And he's also made a post.
Oh.
Which just says, good luck pronouncing my last name.
He knew. Excellent. Absolutely love it.
And then we've got Dan Osworth for the support. Brendan. Brendalf. Bro Alf. Thank you for the support.
It's getting worse.
And he's also made a post. Thanks for the entertainment.
No problem.
I'm now ad blocking these. But that's fine. You've supported us on Patreon. And then we've got various other people adjusting their, support levels and all of that good stuff. But it's beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the support. And my camera just autofocused, so I should fix that. Because I fucking hate this camera, Mr. Kirioth.
Now, there is. I don't know why yours does it, though, because mine doesn't. And we've got the same camera.
I know. It's set every fucking day. Sets itself, whenever I restart the computer, sets itself back to autofocus. Doesn't change any of the other settings, just autofocus. Why?
Now, there is a Patreon thingy. A change to Patreon. So if you have pledged to support, or you are thinking about pledging support, maybe you've gone to the page and you've gone, oh, they've already got this much. Don't really need my help. That figure will change if it hasn't already. I don't know whether it has. No, it has already changed. The figure that you see on the Patreon page for HotFix, and in fact, all Patreons if you are a Patreon addict.
No, that's not correct. Only some of them have changed. It's not changed on all of them because it's like a test they're doing.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not accurate anyway. They've said, but let me sum it up. What Kim was saying is when you see the value. Yeah. When you see a value on a patron, that's not how much the patron makes. So if you look at the main unit loss patron, you look at that, and you might think, oh, that's doing quite well. Just remove $400, then you kind of get to where that is because it's not. People pledge and then don't support, and Patreon at the moment shows that as a pledge because you get a lot of people and they don't know why they do this because this is scumlord behavior. But if you go into somewhere and you say like, I want to support Jim Sterling on Patreon, and I'm feeling like a complete dickhead, so I say $1,000 I'm going to support him to. but I've no intention of paying him, it would still show up on his Patreon that I've done that, even though I haven't. And that's just, it does that. But don't ever see the figure and think, oh, they've got enough or whatever, we'll just do whatever. Just ignore the figure. Just think about what it's worth to you. That's all you've got to think.
Like every YouTube stat site ever, the numbers it gives you are completely wrong. That's basically the way to look at it. Some things will never change in that respect, but
no. It's the only reason why we decided to address that is because I was getting messages off people as well, and they would be like, well, how much do you need before you're going to start plugging this? Because I don't want you plugging it all the time. And I'm thinking, a lot more. But anyway, moving on.
Here's also the thing as well, is that, frankly, the more
accurate.
The more that you pledge, like, especially like the Hotfix Patreon, the more you pledge, the more work I can do on it. Because how much time I can pile into it every week is kind of dictated by how much sounds bad, but how much you're going to get. But if I said to you, I want you to go away and do your job for like a quarter of the money that you're getting now, you tell me to piss off, because that's not how it works. If you want to give more, I can do more, and we just make it better and keep making it better, and we just keep working on it more and more and more, because I can put more time into it. So that's basically what it boils down to. More equals better most of the time. Except when it comes to fast food, more doesn't equal better. More equals horribly unhealthy.
Well, no, that depends where you go. I mean, like, if you go to KFC and get the massive family bucket and try and eat it to yourself, then you're a king.
KFC's disgusting. I don't like KFC.
KFC's the only one I can actually eat. But I don't eat that much fast food anyway. This is a podcast discussion.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, it's all about the chippy. I don't class that as fast food. I class that as a restaurant.
It is. It's just a takeaway restaurant. It's not fast food.
Delicacy.
Especially if they cook it fresh. It's not fast then, so it doesn't count.
No, mate, you got 5 minutes to wait. Oh, fucking hell, all right then.
Anyway, this is Hotfix, which is our laser focused, even though it's been massively unfocused up until this point, video game industry topic news discussion show podcast.
We discuss the news.
We discuss all
people,
the industry, all of it, the lot of it, all of it, including the games sometimes. Today, we've got I like this. This is a big thing. This is a big thing to what's happened. So you may be familiar.
Hang on. And a mad shout out to Jim Bob, who just pledged $1 a minute ago.
Oh, the timing
for the
Jim
support
Bob was exceptional. I'm going to switch. I'll switch back to the desktop. I switched over, then immediately switched back. You may have heard of a website called Kotaku. You may not have heard of them. They do video game related things mostly, although they seem to be doing any old shit at the moment. But that's entirely down to them. Their editor in chief, Steve Tortillo.
Is that like the commander in chief? Is that like Obama?
The commander, he's the commander in chief of Kotaku. He wrote an article, and the article is this: for the past 2 years, Kotaku has been blacklisted by Bethesda, the publisher of the Fallout and Elder Scrolls series. For the past year, we have also been, to a lesser degree, ostracised by Ubisoft, publisher of Assassin's Creed, Far Cry and more. That is true. If you're wondering why there's no Assassin's Creed Syndicate footage on the channel, it's because they just haven't replied to any emails.
Let me just come in. I know this is screwing up your thing. So with Ubisoft, we used to have a fairly good conversation with Ubisoft, and then Far Cry 4, I think it was, came out. And I got given the access to it by their PR representative. And then I played the game, and I'm like, this is totally shit. It was like unplayably shit. And then I got a message off them saying, wow, that wasn't very nice or something. And I was like, what the fuck? Nice, ain't your mate. I'm a colleague. I'm not your fucking friend. Anyway, since that moment onwards, they're not receptive at all. And in fact, I emailed them a couple of weeks ago and just said, because we tried to get Assassin's Creed for the consoles, remember? And I'm like, can you just explain to me what the problem is with you sending us codes, because you're just not receptive at all to sending us anything. I mean, we don't have like Rainbow Six Siege, we don't have anything off them. And they were like, weirdly, Anno, we got Anno off them, but that was from a different guy, though, wasn't it? That wasn't from them directly. They don't want to deal with us now because we tell you how it is. Because we'll be like, this game's shit. For example, Black Ops 3 is shit on PC because it is a black screen. It is meta to the meta of the meta. It is unbelievable. Yet Activision will keep sending us stuff because they understand how it works.
Yeah. And yes, actually, memory in terms of Ubisoft is very short because we've talked about this God knows how many times, but when it came to Assassin's Creed Unity, I was somehow incredibly lucky in that the only bugs I experienced were occasional frame rate drops. I didn't have anywhere near the horrendous time that most of the people who bought that game had. And that reflected in the review that I did, where I said it was a pretty decent game, and apart from frame rate drops, it worked perfectly fine. Turns out, of course, that for the vast majority of people, that wasn't the case. But that could be
Anno, we said Anno was decent as well. So it swings and roundabouts. You give us a good product, it's fine. But it does seem that some places are very churlish. I fucking love that word in their approach to like dealing with other people. They almost think like you should be friends. Like I am nobody's friend from any PR department. I am here to get something off you to produce a video on it because I'm giving you free exposure. The gamble on your part is you ain't got to pay me, but you're going to give me the game. And I'm either going to make something negative or positive depending on how the game is. Yeah. Now, if you believe the game's good, then you're happy with that, and then we move on from there. But that's how it is. It's very like from my point of view, it's very weird how some of them do think you're friends. And let's not forget, if you're an arse licker or you're somebody who's going to brown nose your way to the top, getting friendly with a lot of these people probably is beneficial to you because you're going to get things off them that other people don't. I see people moan and they're like, "Oh, hey." Why don't I have access to this game? I'm X big YouTuber, whatever, but these guys do have access to what's going on there. And it's like, well, maybe they were a bit more friendly. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm never like that. All I do is for PR stuff. I just flat out approach people. And this is why I spend a lot of my time doing this, but I'll be like, oi, like Overwatch is a good example. I just sent them a message that says, look, I want Overwatch access. This is what I plan to do with it. And in which I said, look, we will make videos on the game. We'll provide feedback, which is obviously crucial because it's a beta. We're PC centric and all this crap, and if the game's decent, we might support it in the future. That's what I sent to them. They get back to me. We really like this. We'll give you access. Then I see people on Twitter moaning with 500,000 plus subs. Well, I not got access. And I'm thinking because you just sat there and expected to get it. That's not how the world works.
Yeah,
it does for some stuff, but not for everything.
Yeah, when it comes to stuff like getting game codes, sitting there doing nothing is not how you get them. And it just doesn't work like that.
Unless you are like astronomically massive and everybody sends you everything.
Yeah, or you have a habit of never doing any sort of review content whatsoever, and you only play the game and never comment on its quality or its technical quality. That's something
let's jump
else
onto that. I don't know how much this is derailing your guys' thing, is price of journalism post, but there are a lot of Ubisoft really like Let's Play channels on YouTube because they're not critical of the game. Yeah. They literally play the newest game and play it through to completion, and that's it. They love that shit. There'll be loads of Assassin's Creed Let's Plays, usual candidates pumping them out. What they don't like is Kiri getting the game going, well, this is fucking the same as the last Assassin's Creed, which was the same as the last one. What's going on? I mean, PC Gamer gave Assassin's Creed like 60 out of 100, didn't they, or something, the latest one. And we're like, this is just same old shit.
They want to avoid stuff like that, and they'll go to great lengths to make sure they do it. But this is where the kind of conflict comes in. So if we go back to the article, so he's talking about how they've been blacklisted by Bethesda and by Ubisoft, and said neither company has officially told us that we've been cut off. For a time, it was possible to make a good faith assumption that this was just a short-term disagreement. Maybe their spam filters were misplacing our emails. Maybe they'd get over it, or perhaps they feared a repeat of 2007, when then Kotaku editor-in-chief Brian Crescent, I always mispronounce that, embarrassed Sony out of blacklisting this outlet for reporting the existence of then unannounced PlayStation projects. The truth is that we've been cut off from Bethesda since our December 2013 report detailing the existence of the then secret Fallout 4. Ubisoft has been nearly radio silent since our December 2014 report detailing the existence of the then unannounced Assassin's Creed Victory, renamed Syndicate. When we ask representatives from either company for comment or clarification regarding breaking news, we hear nothing in response. When we ask them about their plans for upcoming games, or seek to speak with one of their developers about one of their projects, it's the same story. Total silence.
Which is what we get off certain places. Yeah.
This has happened at a PR and marketing level, leaving any developers at those companies who do want to talk to us, or who do want to facilitate Kotaku coverage of their games, to do so on the sly. It is, after all, PR and marketing who try to control how big budget video games are covered. If they or their bosses don't value an outlet, that outlet is left out. So
what's the famous thing? Okay, so I say certain people don't get back to you. They do. Oh, we've run out of codes on your digital platform with infinite codes. And I sit there and read it and I'm like, you are a prick. This is what I think. And I'm like, okay. Now, just in our defense, you could say, well, Star, you could just go and buy the game anyway when it launches and then make videos on it. You could, but you have to understand where we're coming from. It is better to have the game in an earlier state or get it as it drops off them for us to make videos on, because I can't explain to you the way YouTube works in terms of how much we make off videos. But a video would have to do extraordinarily well to make 50 quid back of a purchase price. So we add that up and think, okay, well, we're not going to go for that this time. It's almost like, well, I mean, with the Assassin's Creed, when we look at our YouTube channel, we look at what we're doing, we think we're going to play these games over these other games and their priority. Well, a game that wasn't a priority was Assassin's Creed. It was just on the side. But if we had access to it, we'd have a go. Now, here's where the gamble comes in from Ubisoft. It's like, well, if they give us the game, Kiri likes it, that's a result. And we're going to make a video saying we like the game.
Yeah.
That's the gamble. Like, and they worm their way into our content production schedule. It's not like, so that's what I would say in defense of that. I mean, there are games that we do go out and buy. Like, I bought Metal Gear Solid. I bought hilariously Until Dawn, which was just, I wish I hadn't, but I did. And I do buy quite a lot of games, but you have to understand as well, you do get games sent to you. And I think there is an important point that needs to be made. At no point do I or anybody else, I think, who gets sent games for free, view that as a sweetener, because it isn't. It's not like, here's the game for free. Wow, they've gave it. Because I've never thought like that anyway. You guys as viewers might think like that, because imagine if Bethesda turned up and went, here's Fallout 4, which is what they did to me. And you're just a guy in the street, wow, I can't believe it. Then you like the game more. But to me, I get games every day, and I'm just like, well,
yeah,
you don't see that as like, that's not, because I remember Mr. Frankie 1080p on PC was trying to claim that he said things along the lines of, like, you sponsored me a free copy of the game, which they haven't sponsored you a free. They've gave you the game, then paid you money. Let's be clear. Because there's no way you would say that, because if you had to disclose that, it would be on every video we make. Well, most videos we make on games like Overwatch, on StarCraft, Legacy of the Void, on what else recently? Anything that we've been sent, Fallout, anything we've been sent for free.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of unspoken rule is that, especially for YouTube channels that do the kind of content that we do, is that if we're covering a game, the chances are that we have received it from the publisher. If we're paid to play it, then we say so. And if we have to buy it ourselves, then 9 times out of 10, we reference the fact that we couldn't get a copy and we had to buy it ourselves. That's just
not really. No, I think we're dangerous. Channels like us are dangerous to these places because they don't know what they're going to get. It's like, look at Overwatch, right? So I've made videos on Overwatch, guides and whatever, but then I also made a video just going like, what the fuck? Why are people getting angry at the way the characters look in the game? Now, that video did extremely well, but then looking back at that video, looking at the comments are wild. It's like they could be people that understand the video, but then extremely negative comments aimed at me because I'm this and that, and the game because it's that and this, even though that's not what the video contains. That's still a wild gamble. Like, they did. We're a channel that, we might make guides, we might make Let's Play, but then we also might make editorial videos, or we might make something.
We might
like
make
look
a
at
video.
Fallout.
Yeah, we might make a video
Fallout
that is
video,
like 5 minutes of slamming a game for being a technical mess. We might do that.
You don't know what you're going to get from us.
Yeah. Well,
so if you were Ubisoft, because you have to understand as well, these guys, the publishers, do have control over their product, and they don't have to give it you. If they don't want you to look at it, then fuck you.
Yeah.
It's why Jim Sterling's so successful with his Patreon, because he doesn't have to. He's not like time sensitive. He can just make a video whenever he likes. So he doesn't have to be there launch or any of that shit. He could buy it 2 weeks down the line and make a video on it, and his fans will still watch that. But if you're Ubisoft and you see a channel like, I won't name any names, but just a random Let's Play guy, and then you see Unit Lost, you'd look at Unit Lost channel and you'd be like, okay. You probably look at the video page, look at what's done well recently. You'd be thinking, all right then. So there's videos there which are like slamming Fallout 4, other videos which are controversial. Then there's like really good videos, but then you look at Let's Play guy, and it's just part 58 of some fucking shit Let's Play of some game, and they're like, well, he's a safer bet, so we'll go for him, because they don't have restricted amount of the games, because obviously it's digital distribution platforms they use, but they probably do have a number, like say 50 keys that they give out for YouTube, or 100 keys for this, so they can kind of gauge what they're getting back. Not just give it, you very rarely see broadcasts where it's like, just give it out to everybody who asks, give everybody the keys. Don't normally see that.
Well, see, this is something that actually, this guy
apart
covers.
from indie games do that.
Yeah, which in some cases probably shouldn't, because I think that devalues the game quite a lot, frankly. But that's a totally different discussion. If we go back to Kotaku again, they actually cover this in the article. So he says, the Bethesda blackout came after a year of reporting that was not always flattering to the Maryland-based publisher. In April of 2013, we reported insiders' accounts of the troubled development of the still unreleased fourth major Doom game. In May of that year, we reported that Arcane Austin, the Bethesda-owned studio behind Dishonored, would be working on a new version of the long missing in action Prey 2, and that some at the studio were not pleased about that. When top people at Bethesda started making statements casting doubt on our reporting, we published a leaked internal email confirming that those statements had misled gamers and that Arcane had indeed been working on a version of Prey 2. The current Ubisoft blackout is currently the second in as many years. The company tried a similar approach in the spring of 2014 after we published early images of the then unannounced Assassin's Creed Unity, images that had been leaked to us by an independent source. That article confirmed news about the company's extraordinary plans to release 2 entirely different Assassin's Creed games in the fall of that year, one for new consoles and one for old. Ubisoft had warmed back to Kotaku by the summer of 2014, several months after the Unity report, but has cold-shouldered us since the victory story 1 year ago. It's possible other articles angered them too, but that victory piece is a safe bet. I'm sure some people will sympathise with Bethesda and Ubisoft, some will cheer those companies and hope others follow suit. They will see this kind of reporting as upsetting, as ruining surprises, and frustrating creative people. They will claim we are hurting video games and, as so many do, mistake the job of entertainment reporting for the mandate to hype entertainment products. So this is the thing where this blacklist thing from Kotaku actually gets a bit, in a way, a bit, dare I say, pointless, because there's 2 ways, as we've already illustrated just mere minutes ago, on basically how to succeed in the industry of covering games. You either become like a willing or even oblivious mouthpiece to the publishers and developers.
There are a lot of these about.
Yeah, by you take whatever game you're given.
You know what? Can I just so look at EA Ronku, yeah. Look at EA channels that specifically focus on Battlefield games and stuff like that, or even Call of Duty channels that focus on Call of Duty. Those guys are fans of the game in the first place, and they love the game, and they're making loads of videos and loads and loads and loads of videos on the game. Then they get to a point where they are getting sent to events. They are getting, in the case of EA Ronku, like special early access a lot. So what EA have done there is they've gone from this world of like the wild west of YouTube, of just giving out keys to any bugger or people with big channels, to just selectively putting people, like giving them early access. Like there's been a lot of guys who got early access to Battlefront, and we're just getting millions of views on videos because they know it will be an overly, well, it won't be overly positive, but it'll be skewed in their one direction. Now, one of these guys is a channel called Jack Frags. Now, it isn't just glowing praise for the game. It's a guy who's a fan of Battlefield, but he explains to you what's going on, and he'll be like, well, I don't think this is that good, or this is that good, blah, blah, blah. It's not like, wow, it's the greatest game I've ever seen. There are some that do that. Yeah. You know, people who bullshit, and it's like, that is terrible, and you're sellouts. But I think sometimes where there is a fan of a series, I kind of think it's okay that they are getting the earlier access because they give more of a, I don't know, like a rounded sort of look at the game.
They have a knowledge, like a base of knowledge that is bigger than someone who covers a variety of games. If all you play is one game, then you get to know that game inside out. And so when a new version of that game comes out, you're in a position where you can directly compare it to previous games down to the smallest detail. And in some cases, that's really valuable because that is a person who can tell you without a shadow of a doubt what has changed between this one, the last one, what's better, what's worse, and what's just different. And in that case,
but they're also inherently fans of that series. So you got to understand it. It would be like giving a, it's like Top Gear is a wild example of this. If you give like fucking, well, it ain't Top Gear no more, but if you give Clarkson the latest fucking Veyron or something, like some ridiculous car, he's not going to go, it's shit, is he? And if it might be shit, he's going to be like, whoa, ragging the shit out of it and going all over the place. It'd be like, wow, look at this. So it's sort of what I mean with the Kotaku thing you've got here is, with them being blacklisted, I mean, what are they actually blacklisted from? This is what I don't understand.
This is okay. So this is what I'm going to talk about now. So I'm just, if I just finish what I was saying before. So what Kotaku are talking about here, what the editor's saying, is that the reason they've been blacklisted is because there's basically 2 ways of doing it. There's the way that Kotaku do it and the way that we do it, which is that you give your opinion. You report on stuff, or discuss things that publishers and developers would rather you didn't. as a whole, publishers and developers don't want to support that because
it's
ideally
wild.
for them, what they want is for outlets to take their press releases, take their games, take their open betas, their public betas, or their their early access stuff, and say, look at this, look how great it is. This is what they say about this game. You should buy it. Now, plenty of people have got a lot of success in doing that, and when you look at a lot of gaming websites are just rehashes of press releases. There might. Well,
we often laugh about that, don't we? Because we'll see it in our PR account. It'll be the very same thing. You just see pasted on about 5 different websites.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
And it's like you can go to any number of websites and see exactly the same article but worded slightly differently because they've taken the same source of information and then they've just written about it. Now, what Kotaku have done is they basically said this game isn't ready, but we know it exists. We know people want to know that it exists. Here you go. This is what the next Assassin's Creed is going to look like. They did it in 2014, and then they did it again for Victory. So they did it for Unity and Victory. They did the same thing with Bethesda. People wanted to know about the next Fallout game, and they came out and said, look, it's the next Fallout game. They also showed that there were troubles in the studio. Now, no matter what you think about games journalism as a whole, that is actually journalistic content. That's investigating something and reporting on it and providing something which is far more than just regurgitating press releases. The problem is that you cannot do both. Now, you cannot sit there and go, okay, here are the next big releases for Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft don't know we've got this information. They don't want anyone to know about it yet, but here it is. You can't do that and then say to Ubisoft, yeah, but no, you should still give us stuff. Because they're trying to be on both sides of the fence. They're trying to be kind of the radical, we're going to investigate, we're going to report, we're going to give the people what they want, we're going to spread all the information, we're going to share it out, and then go, oh, but please, could you give me a free copy of your game? They're not going to do that because the publishers and developers don't want people to go ahead and do that. So they're just going to punish you for it.
I think as well, they suffer from not having like if we use YouTube again as a comparison, you look at a lot of YouTubers, it is this cult of personality, but it's this 1 or 2 man operation on a YouTube channel. You can gauge by looking at a YouTube channel the kind of thing you will get out of it. Like you look at our channel, you kind of know what you'll get from it. If you look at like any other channel, you kind of know what you're going to get from it. With a website like Kotaku, isn't it a little bit more complex because doesn't everything come under Kotaku as if it's this horrendous monster amalgamation of all these different writers? Where one writer, I mean, who was the website who wrote the VG247? Wrote a preview of a game, Uncharted, but it was actually the wrong one.
Yeah, and they said it was Uncharted 4, but they were playing Uncharted 2 remastered. Yeah, but
I don't remember the guy's name. I just remember the website, and it loses credibility in my mind. It's like Kotaku. They might make these pieces which are great, but then there's a lot of shit on Kotaku, which is just like what, like so everyone laughs like what the fuck Kotaku? Yeah. Like that subreddit Kotaku in action and all of that crap. It's like, come on, but I don't know. I like this investigative journalism is much better because I mean, hey, let's go into this debate. Why is this? So we don't want places that just regurgitate PR releases because what's the point? We obviously know the reason why publishers want this is because they have a marketing schedule to stick to. So on certain days, certain weeks or dates or whatever, there'll be a trailer, there'll be buzz, we'll generate the buzz to try and cultivate the buzz to the launch, and then they go, boom, here's the game. Hopefully it all reaches the pinnacle, massive sales. If, before this even launches, say the next Assassin's Creed game, they drop a trailer and it's all like, oh, we don't know what's going on here. Could it be, is it in the past or in the future?
Yeah.
And then a week later, Kotaku are like, oh, we got the details, it's in the future, it's on the moon. But Ubisoft actually 2 months down the line want to release a trailer of like some sort of moon shit going on to build more hype, and then a month after that launch the game sort of thing. That screwed them, and it screwed them out of sales, it screwed them out of money, so they're going to come and screw you.
Yeah.
It's really stupid and childish and idiotic. I mean, does this happen in the movie industry? Does it happen in the music industry? I don't know. I doubt it. But it's gaming is very childish. It's really childish to me, especially the way companies try and deal with stuff. And in fact, if we go even further back, there was a dangerous time where a lot of people I was speaking to at the time were honestly worried that games companies would go the Nintendo route on YouTube and say, you cannot monetize anything unless you submit to what we say you're going to submit to. And even EA and Ubisoft and all these companies went, no, that's fucking stupid, because they understand that you do get positive you get overwhelmingly positive free media, free marketing produced on your game if the game is good. If it's shit, you get wrecked. If it's questionable, some people, or even if it's a good game, still some people could find errors with it. Like a lot of people think Fallout 4 is a good game. I don't agree with that. You don't agree with that. So hey, they might have thought, well, Unit Lost had liked the game, but we didn't, because it's like, well, this is not what we were wanting in a game. So you get like a lot of stuff like that.
See, the thing is, I have no problem with the way that. Well, let me clarify that a bit. I really like that there is actual journalism in video games, because I think there's an over, like you say, there's an overwhelming kind of feeling of, it's video games. The way that people behave are pretty childish in relation to video games, whether it's outlets reporting on stuff or whether it's publishers and developers reacting to that reporting. But without that kind of journalistic slant, without people going after certain threads and pulling on them and trying to find out what's happening inside companies, like what Kotaku did with Bethesda, what Eurogamer did with Borderlands 2. You know, people are surrendering this information. Like, it's not like people are sitting in these offices working for these companies and they're going, well, I don't want anyone to know about this. That's not the case, because it's being leaked. This information is being leaked to them.
You know what? There is an example here. Apple is an example of this, where if they get designs leaked of their latest products, back when people gave a shit about Apple, it would be like, that would be devastating to them, and they would find out who did that, and they would annihilate them in their company, and they would like, you couldn't do that. And now you can understand that. Like, I mean, look at Blizzard with Titan before we knew that it was cancelled and that the remnants of it was turned into Overwatch. What was that? You know, imagine if somebody came out with a massive leaked document because they worked internally in the company. They didn't. Well, why didn't they do that? Because most likely Blizzard would wreck them if they did. But there were probably systems in place within the company to make sure, to retain your employment, you don't do this. And they probably had really good ways of tracking where the information was coming from. So a lot of leaks do come down to, it isn't the fact that somebody's reported it. It's the fact that you're not in control of your company's security. If it is so essential to you not to leak what the next thing is you're going to do, then why are you involving people who are untrustworthy? Why are you not winning your employees' trust? Why don't you have safety systems in place? So it's not really, they're punishing other people for their fault. And it's like...
the other thing as well is that the idea of having a press surrounding the gaming industry, where all you ever hear about is what the publishers want you to hear about, I don't want that press. I don't want that press in any aspect of life whatsoever. You wouldn't want it with the government. You wouldn't want it with anything, because it's withholding information that is relevant to you. So when Kotaku or Eurogamer or whoever leak the next Assassin's Creed game, you could sit there and go, well, it's Assassin's Creed, who cares? But there are people there, you know, there are people around the world who've followed that series since its inception, since the very first one, and they've played every single one. And they may be thinking to themselves, God, I really wish I knew what the next thing was for this game. I want to know what the next... You know, people are curious about the next thing. They always want to know what's happening after this thing that they've just done. Why shouldn't they be told by an outlet? Why shouldn't they be told by Kotaku? Just because Ubisoft doesn't think that it's out, that doesn't think that it should be out at that point, that information. In a way, that's kind of irrelevant. If you've got access to the information, you will want to share it. That's part of what journalism is. I mean, yeah, you need to do your due diligence. You need to look into it. You need to get sources. You need to, what is it they say? You need 2 sources before you should try and declare something as being
just take somebody's
fact.
Word in it.
You can't just have one person turn up and go, yeah, well, I'm sure he sounds trustworthy, without any sort of proof or anything.
Well, in defense of Kotaku, when you look back at the older articles, like the one where they leaked Fallout 4 years before, and the fact it was going to be in Boston, there's actually a picture of the main character there. That they've got, and all kinds of shit. So it's like they have got, and the Victory, before they changed the name of it, the Assassin's Creed game, that was London. It showed you London. It was like, look, it's in London. They
showed everything. I mean, including stuff on the trains. I think there was something on the horse and carriage as well.
Yeah, there wasn't like a guy on top of the horse.
Yeah, they got the details right, and whether the publisher wants that to happen or not, it has. But the problem is that I think the big thing with the blacklist thing is, I think it's fair to say that.
Do you think? Hang on. Do you think it's right? I'm going to give it real. You are at a competitive disadvantage if you do not have good relationships with publishers, because you need the games early. If you get the games early, become a mouthpiece for them. And for me and Kiri just made videos that were positive on every game that came out. There are people that do this. It's very easy to find them if you just go around. Nobody can be positive about every game, right? But there are people that are positive, streamers included, YouTubers, everything. You would then get access to games. Like we used to have a fairly decent relationship with EA. Then it fell through the floor because the guy who at the time was the EA PR guy was offended at something I said to him in an email and just was like, "You are getting nothing." Yeah, I would. And again, this is me being a bit of a, well, it's not me being a big-headed dickhead. This is me trying to defend what Unit Lost is. I would be like, well, hey, why have these guys got access to it when their channel is a lot smaller than ours, and ours is going to do much better with the content?
Yeah.
No response, and I was starting to get a bit angry. To be fair, EA have changed a little bit now, and they are a little bit more receptive. But even to the point of they've not sent us Battlefront, yet they gave us beta access to it. Didn't they like what we made the content I made on the game at beta? I wasn't negative on it. I said I enjoyed the game. It was simple, and I said it looks like it's going to lack content. That's it. But those videos have got 30, 40,000 views on them. So it's like maybe they've seen them and been like, you know what? We don't want this guy to have the game, but they can't stop me from buying it.
Yeah.
But like the point is, Battlefront to me is one of those games which isn't like on the primary sort of Unit Lost mandate at the moment. And it can just go to the side because me being, again, what's best for Unit Lost and best for our time, it's not best for our time to make loads of videos on Battlefront because it's been wrecked by everybody else who's already had access to it because the beta came in, and then there was a lot of the guys, like, I mean, even like the Jack Frags guy I use as an example, and all the other people who had special access, like special sessions where they were showing off, like, is it Jakku or Jakku or whatever, and showing off maps like that were not even available in the beta and won't be available until the game comes out. So you get a lot of that, but there is a competitive disadvantage if you're not in bed with these guys, which is wrong. And there are a lot of people who make killings, and I'm talking about mega money, through just sitting in bed with these people, and it disgusts me that these people are allowed to get away with what they're allowed to get away with because they're making loads of money just because they're just arse-licking their way to the top. And is that just life, though?
There is a competitive disadvantage to not being in bed with the publishers, but the problem is that you cannot expect to have that competitive advantage of being in bed with them whilst also, like, rifling through their diary whilst they're going to the bog after you've been in bed with them. Like, if you're going to go through their secrets and then tell the world what those secrets are, you cannot then go, well, this doesn't seem fair. Because in a way, if we're just talking purely from a what people want standpoint, in a way, the argument is the same on both sides. Kotaku is saying it's not fair they've been blacklisted because of the stuff they've reported on, basically, is what they're saying. But the publishers are saying that it's not fair that Kotaku have, given out information that is not complete when they intended to give people the complete information at a later date. You can't do both. They're both viewing an injustice, but really, in a sense, there is no injustice because Kotaku, if they get information, and they even say they'll find information, and the news value to such leaks is often exceedingly obvious in what it says about the state of a game, a franchise, a console, or a company. In such moments, it is nearly unfathomable to me that a reporter would sit on true information about what's really happening in gaming, and that we would refrain from telling our readers something because it would mess with the company's marketing plan. That is admirable, and that's fine. And I don't often say this about Kotaku, but I absolutely support that standpoint. If you get information on a series or a franchise or problems that could affect the products that people are going to be buying in like 6 months' time, then by all means, tell us all about it. I want to read it. Same thing with like that really good piece they did on the storyline of Destiny. That was a really fantastic article. That was proper investigative stuff. If that had come out before, maybe it could have made some sort of impact. But of course, there was no way to know at the time. But you can't do this thing of saying, well, this will completely screw up Ubisoft's marketing plan. This will totally screw up Bethesda's marketing plan. They are going to hate if we release it. Let's do it anyway. They'll get over it, because they won't. And they don't have to. What you need to do is basically pick what you want to be. You can either be the outlet that actively goes out and screws up people's marketing and tells people what is going on with all the people in the company, all the games, any information you've got, or you can sit on it, you can wait for the press release, and you can get your 2-week early preview copy like a good boy. I mean, which is it going to be? You can't do both. If you want to take the hard line, we are going to investigate this, we're going to report on this, we are going to tell people the information raw, not tinted, not tainted by what the publisher says it is, but from what we know from speaking to people inside the company, then do that. Do it, but don't then say, oh, well, it's not fair that we didn't really get access to stuff, because you can't have it both ways. You can't. It doesn't work like that. It's not going to work like that in any other way, in any other industry ever.
But both of them have been offended, and they're both just being what they are, and that's it. I mean, if you put your, I mean, let's say I'm a website, right, and you're a publisher, and you are working on a project you've been working on for the last 5 years. It's this brand new game. You're not even ready to announce it yet. You're probably going to announce it in maybe a year or 2 years' time. But everybody wants to know what it is. Let's say let's say you're kind of like Blizzard and you're working on a new game, right? Let's say all your other games are sort of doing okay, but what's it going to be off Blizzard? What is this game going to be off Mr. Kirioth? Well, I find out what it is. And I go away and I know this is going to make me a shitload of money because I've just found out what it is. Because one of Kiri's employees, that Kiri called a bitch and slapped around the face, has come to me.
She ate my last custard cream. I mean, what the fuck else was supposed to do?
So he gets all angry, and she comes to me and says, "Right, this is what we're making. It is a Minecraft clone or something, and it's got Farmville in it. And isn't that just Minecraft anyway? I don't know. And it's like it's this terrible thing. Anyway, I'm like, what? And she's got proof. So I post all this proof. I get massive views. Then you get angry. Because your big game that you spent loads of cash developing, which was going to have this massive advertising campaign, has now been leaked. So you don't like me no more. But I'm like, but please, I'm. This is what I do, and you're like, but no, but and then you just get angry at me for doing what I do. But really, you're the cause because you slapped her around the face and she came and told me what was what. But that might even not be the case. You know, but even so, I came across the information somehow. I'm just going to report it, and it's this ridiculous double standard. You can't, like, what they need to do. Publishers need to just get in the fucking real world and realize you can't control these outlets. You can't control YouTubers. Unless they want to be controlled.
You shouldn't try.
Yeah, no. Trying just makes you look like a dickhead. You should just give them what they want and then just leave. Well, that's what I think. Your products have got to stand up on their own.
We saw an example of...
I mean, you remember before there was Steam refunds? Me and you would go crazy, wouldn't you? I mean, there's no way you buy a car and then it just falls apart and it's like, oh, well, whoops-a-doozy. No. But now there is Steam refunds, so that's kind of changed a little bit. So if you do buy shit, you can get a refund for it because it's shit. You know what I mean? Ooh.
Yeah. And the thing is, a perfect example of this thing of publishers will, they'll decry whatever an outlet says if it's not exactly what they wanted them to say. Was it a couple of years ago? Yeah, it was 2011. God, that was a long time ago. And I think we even covered this at the time. Eurogamer leaked information about Borderlands 2. The information they leaked about Borderlands 2 was 100% accurate. It was all true. All of it. It was dead on. Everything they said was included in official marketing and turned up in the game. They did not get anything wrong. Randy Pitchford, who we've talked about many times before, CEO of Gearbox, said that what Eurogamer did was shoddy journalism. And he said, I can tell you myself that everyone at Gearbox loves Borderlands. We've been absolutely thrilled at the reception it's got from our customers and the fact it sold over 4 million units, but we've only announced what we've announced. If we haven't announced it, it doesn't exist. Right. So what he's saying there is, Eurogamer leaked something that we were going to tell people about, but they did it before we actually said that we were going to do it, so therefore they're wrong. That's not how it works. That's not how it works, and it was even better for the fact that they were correct on everything, because it highlights the hypocrisy of, we want these outlets to talk about us. We want these outlets to talk about our games. We want them to talk about our company.
See them as advertising platforms. Yeah. You don't see them as... Yeah. They're not like... It isn't like the BBC. Like, the BBC go around reporting on, like, wow, the next greatest film from fucking, of James Bond, it's going to be awesome. No, you'll see articles like, Daniel Craig says he fucking don't like James Bond. I mean, what? Like, why would he be saying that? You know what I mean? It's like...
And it's that thing.
They're not advertising platforms. For fuck's sake, they're just.
And this is the thing. They are news.
Unless it's owned by Rupert Murdoch.
They are news. They are going to investigate stuff. They are going to report on stuff. And you can't have it both ways. You cannot have
ethics in journalism.
You can't have a press that just does what the publishers say. That shouldn't be how
it
works.
That is there. It is there.
It is there.
It's easy to see who they are.
It shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be there, but it is. And the fact that these outlets will, actually give out information that you've not specifically cleared to be given to the general public. Tough shit. If you don't like that aspect of the industry, well, the only thing you can do is either blacklist sites, which won't make a difference because they will still investigate your shit and they will still talk about your games. They will still preview them. They will still
about
review
you blacklisting them,
and then they'll talk about you blacklisting them.
Blasting them.
But by the same token, you cannot do all of that and then say, I don't understand why we're blacklisted. Because
happy Thanksgiving as well.
Oh, yeah. Now, there is one other thing, because I think we pretty much... What is it? Turkey?
Random there, just to insert that. Yam. What's a yam?
I don't know. I thought it was a sweet potato, but apparently they're different. So, I think we've pretty much covered that, but there is one thing that made me laugh with Kotaku.
I know what a yam is.
I don't know what a yam is. And it made me laugh
from a town. Certain town. Yam. What do I tell you? Yeah,
oh, is that what that is?
Yam.
Son, shut up. So there's a thing that Kotaku did. Admittedly, this is a different writer, but it is quite funny, and it's like the light-hearted, daft bit at the end of regional news programs. So every Sunday, Kotaku does an article, and it's done by a guy called Mike Fahey, and it's Sunday Comics, where he goes around and he finds comics from various comic websites. And he places them on the page. This is the Sunday comic. Now, on the screen, you will see that this one, which was a couple of weeks ago, has a comic by Penny Arcade. That's fine. Very popular. Apparently, lots of people, they read Penny Arcade. That's good. However, we go to the most recent Sunday. I'm going to scroll down a bit. I'm going to scroll. No Penny Arcade. Still no Penny Arcade. I'm going down. No Penny Arcade. No, still no Penny Arcade. No, still no. We still haven't got one. We've been, oh dear, at the end of the article, no Penny Arcade comic. Now, why is this? Maybe it's because this is the Penny Arcade comic for that day. So I'll read it out just in case. So this is like a little parable by a monk. The parable of the games journalist and the developer. One day, the games journalist asked the developer if they could speak with one another. The developer said, "You invent controversy and are a teller of secrets. When you do so, you are rewarded. You are deeply incentivized to destroy me." But the Scorpion, I mean the games journalist, said, "It may be that such things were done in the past. If so, that is regrettable. But this time I won't sting you, or tweet, or blog, or whatever." And so it was that the developer, in an unguarded moment, told the journalist a truth. And the journalist cried out to all who would listen, "I see lots of problems with an unannounced and unfinished game." And the developer said unto him, "What the hell, man?" And the journalist replied, "Sorry, dude, games journalist got a games journal." Now, it is a very sarcastic and sort of, I guess, memey way to put it. But that is quite clearly talking about Kotaku and the article about we've been blacklisted. And the fact that having made that comic and having had Kotaku chief guy write an entire article about blacklisting and how, bollocks it is and all this, to then not include the comic strip about that subject in their own Sunday Comics article, which you could say is fucking blacklisting it, is nothing short of fucking hilarious. And I couldn't believe it when I saw... I can't remember, I think it might have been the Dude Soup podcast where someone brought that up. I think it was one of the guys, Lawrence, was talking about it. And I was like, this feels like something that someone has written down like on Reddit as a joke and didn't actually happen. And so I looked into it. Absolutely did happen. So having complained about blacklisting, another writer on the site immediately blacklisted a different person.
So this goes back to what I said about having all these multiple writers that come under the one umbrella. Where imagine if I made a video. No, imagine now if I go and make a video saying Fallout 4 is fantastic and I love every aspect of the game. After you've made a video showing, hang on, I'm getting tied up. After you've made a video saying the game, look, it's like a technical disaster, and I'm like, oh, the game's great, it's really well made, and That's called hypocrisy, ladies and gentlemen. And then we would get destroyed for it because it'd be like, what the hell? What the hell? And that's the problem these websites have.
Yeah.
I don't know what the editors are doing. They're in place to make sure that this shit doesn't go down. But often there's too much shit going through. They can't check everything. They might miss something. Maybe they even agree to it. I'm throwing dice. I'm getting really angry. But this is just weird. This again sums up the problems these places have got. You can't have both. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, we've been blacklisted, but we'll blacklist somebody else. Look at us on YouTube. We don't ban comments. The only comments people we delete from the YouTube channel are people who are just racist. If you're not racist, if you're being a dickhead and being argumentative, whatever, you stay in the comments. We don't come and get you and then remove your comment. What? We don't do that. We've never done that because
there isn't enough time in the fucking day to do that.
No, but if we were to say, we always say we want to hear your opinions. We don't want you to just think, oh, Sty said this game's good, so I should just go and buy it. No, I want you to use what I've said and think about it logically and maybe look at other sources. Then go and get a game, not just sit there like a blind idiot, like, Sty said it's good, I'm going to buy it. No. So why would we then go and remove comments that say? I mean, there was that famous example of that fucking video. It was Battlefront video I made, and it was on the same subject. This is Jack Frags again. It was on the same subject as that Jack Frags guy made the video. His video had come out like an hour before or something, and then I put my video out. Some guy turns up in the comments and he's like, I made a comment linking to the video. Now, you can't link in the YouTube comments because it could be a virus or whatever, so YouTube auto-moderates them. Guy's comment gets auto-moderated. The guy then comes back with a massive comment saying that we've censored him.
Like new spam accounts.
Well, no, that's just him being an idiot after. The initial comment itself, he comes in and he's like, hey, you've censored me because I've found you out. You've just gone and copied another guy's video, and I'm thinking I haven't. Even if I wanted to copy the guy's video, it would take more than an hour to go and make the video, edit it, and encode it, and then upload it. I mean, the encoding and the uploading process itself is about an hour. So to me, it was just comical. It was like, no, maybe we were making the videos at the same time, or maybe whatever. It was just totally ridiculous. But we would not censor that guy. If I went and just deleted the guy's comment and just banned him off the channel, then that makes me look bad. Why would I do that? I'm not bad. I know I'm not bad. If that guy wants to believe that's why I did it, then he can believe that. That's fine. It's almost like free speech. No, it doesn't make them right, but let them carry on and talk about whatever they want to talk about. Jesus Christ, Kotaku. Like, Kotaku's a weird one for me. It has these really good articles, and then it's just a sea of shit on Kotaku. And it's weird.
Yeah, it's like a pick and mix website for video games. You could end up with something that's a really enjoyable read, like that Destiny article. I mean, that was really good. I read that a couple of times.
Polygon are sort of like this as well. They have these big editorial pieces that are actually quite good. But some of them, like the last one they had was it was a Blizzard one for Warcraft. No, it was for StarCraft. That was it. And it was this massive history of StarCraft. And I'm reading through it. It's enjoyable. It's obviously marketing material though for Blizzard. It's not like they've just made it out of the goodness of their own hearts. It's like, oh, look, Polygon. If you look at...
but then Polygon also had that guy who went to the Rock Band? Or no, was it Guitar Hero or Rock Band? And he talked about how he doesn't like music and he doesn't like going to places.
So it's shit,
he wanted to... all he wanted to do was drink fizzy water and talk about politics in the Philippines. It's like, you don't know... There's so many people that everyone gets lumped in together, which in a way is kind of... okay, but also in a way it isn't, because it's good for us really badly.
Yeah, but it's good for us though, because you get people who would rather listen to YouTubers and streamers because they get to know them on to say they get to know me on a personal level or you on a personal level is a bit weird for me to say, but you get this parasocial something. It's a word which just describes they know a lot about us, we know nothing about them. Yeah. So they could you know me, you know that I'm not going to like a Pokemon game, right? But you also, on the same kind of way, know that I would like a game that's similar to, say, Supreme Commander, like I liked Ashes of the Singularity. Well, it's odds on I'd like that because you know that's the type of game I like. So you understand who I am on a more personal level. And you see, Eurogamer, sorry, my phone. Eurogamer, they've started to put videos out on their YouTube channel a bit more regular than they used to. And you can see they're trying to build these 4 personalities on the YouTube channel who do these bits of coverage to say, hey, we're personal.
Yeah.
The problem is that YouTube and Twitch, but obviously YouTube is the main culprit here, has annihilated most of these websites. And I don't know whether that is... I don't know enough of the history of websites like, Rock, Paper, Shotgun. Well, I kind of know a bit of Rock, Paper, Shotgun, but like Kotaku and whatever, where are they really getting to the point now where they are bottom of the barrel. Their employees are the shittest quality, and also they've got to do absolutely everything they can just to get views, because all the views are going to the YouTubers.
Yeah.
All the views are going to these other places, and it's killing them. I don't know whether that's
what's happening
or what.
There's also the fact that being able to write a good article doesn't necessarily translate into being able to make a good video. Like you might be able to make fantastic, well-reasoned thoughts in text, but if you're on the spot and you've got to get your thoughts in order and give your opinion in like in a distinct, easy, concise way,
which we don't give ourselves enough credit for.
I just managed to not do it in a concise way, but you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah, but like that's great though, because we have trained ourselves to do this without actually knowing that we can do it. And a lot of YouTubers are like this. I mean, people will ask me when I stream, it'll be like, "What do you think of this game?" And I'll just tell them straight away. And it's like, well, I'm not even thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just coming out of me straight away. And it's like, well, that's.
I think as well something else that that is more personal, I think, about videos especially, is when someone is tackling a subject, and you know they might have done, like for this, I've done my research. I spent God knows how many hours this week just looking through all this to make sure that I didn't get something wrong, or you know, reference something that didn't happen, or you know, attribute something to the wrong person. Even though I have been trying, you know, I've got my point across, you can kind of see me getting there, if that's the way to put it. Like when you're watching someone do like a first impressions of a game or talk about a series they like, if they aren't able to just rattle it off, you know, like, I like this, 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 and this, and that's the whole thing, you can kind of see them think through what they're saying, think about what they're talking about. You can follow their logic to the end point where they give the conclusion. And it feels a lot more personal and a lot more human than when you read just a wall of text, because you know, for a wall of text, it's like, okay, so he's written the first draft, then he's refined it, then he's refined it again, then he sent it to someone else, the editor's gone, oh, he might well change this bit, it's gone back, he's changed it again, and then it's appeared on the website like a day later, having gone through countless revisions. When you're watching something like Hotfix, or when you're watching like a first impressions video, you get the train of thought, you get it from the beginning to sometimes accepting different points of view to the conclusion at the end, and you can follow it a lot easier. And I think it feels less manufactured, I think is the way to put it. It feels less
it's more real what we provide. But if you just go into just the fact it's audio and video as well, means it's just easier to look at anyway. You haven't got to actually read it, which some people don't want to sit there and read stuff. I mean, this is sort of going into another debate, but it is like older. I mean, it would be, imagine if something came in and just wiped us out. There was a different way of, like, what I would say is, though, these YouTubers and the companies that are built around like producing video content on Twitch and on YouTube and all of that shit, because they're often quite small, I think they can be really dynamic, so they can change to the next thing. I mean, look at us. We started off on YouTube. Live streaming wasn't even a thing. Now we live stream quite a lot. What would be the next thing? You know, we can change. We can rapidly change. These large websites, their problem is they are a website. And they want the traffic on their website. They don't want to use third-party things, like they don't want to use Twitch. They don't want to use YouTube. They do use them, but it's not to great effect. I mean, I've seen... So I kind of understand the way stats work on YouTube. And if I look at a video and I can see it's got like a certain number of views or a certain number of likes or comments, whatever, I understand the impact that video's got to a degree. Obviously, I don't know the demographic or the age of the viewers or whatever who's watching it, because I only know that on my own channel. But when I look at people like PC Gamer, and I'll see them with like an interview with Chris Metzen and somebody else from BlizzCon, and it's got hardly any views, and I'm like, what the hell? You know, why? That is the cost to send that guy to that place has not been worth it. That has not produced anything. Like the flights alone would have wiped out any kind of money that's going to make. And this is the way you need to look at these things. It's like, well, if you're in charge and you need to get these things like these interviews done, and a lot of these websites kind of rely on that, the cost to get you guys there is a lot based on what you're getting back. So you've got to try and make your money back other ways. But my other point of you have to get them onto your website is, well, running your own website is kind of annoying, because if you want to put video footage on your own website, well, that's going to take a lot of bandwidth. Yeah. You've also got security issues. You've got loads of stuff. Whereas websites like YouTube and Twitch, they do this for you. Obviously, they take a cut in some way, but they do it for you. And they offer a massive audience.
A lot of these places are just literally playing catch up. That's what they do.
That's why they start YouTube channels. It's like, you know, I look at... go on, make your point.
Well, there's been like, you know, they've been in a comfortable position for a long time, which is fine. It's fair enough, because I've no doubt that something at some point will change where those of us on YouTube will have been in a comfortable position for a long time, but then something new happens. The thing is, they're the first ones to be experiencing that, I think, because, the whole written word thing, especially on the internet, has been around since the start. It might have taken God knows how long to load the one image on the page, but you've always been able to read stuff about stuff on the internet. And YouTube, I don't think there was a huge amount of warning that YouTube was going to explode the way it did. And so now you've got these places that, fine, fair enough, do decent work. I mean, as we've said, Kotaku, when they do investigative stuff, can be pretty good. But now they're lagging. They're lagging behind.
Yeah. Well, this is my point, right? So, Eurogamer, I've gone to their YouTube channel, because obviously these places, they do like to have YouTube channels and all that shit. Their most popular video is a Call of Duty rage video. I think everybody's seen this on the internet, where the guys are shouting and screaming like idiots.
Yeah.
But then what are their most popular videos after that? Well, E3 Metal Gear Solid trailer, Witcher 3 trailer. They're just trailers for the most part. And it's like, well, all they're doing is re-uploading trailers that have been sent, and yeah, that's great. But that's not really, you're just doing, again, you're becoming the mouthpiece for so, which again goes back to other YouTube channels that do this. They'll do Let's Play stuff, but then they'll just upload trailers as well, because they know they're getting views off it. And it's like, what the hell? Anyway, fucking hell. YouTube is currently the way it's going, or the way it is. Streaming is starting to, I don't think streaming will replace YouTube, because it can't, because it's a totally different format. Streaming is live for a start. You can't make a nice guide on a stream, because that's not how streaming is. Streaming is more background noise, I think. It's more like the radio. I see streaming as like the radio that you'd listen to. If you're a gaming fan, you'd leave Twitch on instead of Radio 2 or 1 or whatever you listen to. Whereas YouTube is where you sit down to watch the big shows you want to watch. Like, you sit down and watch the TV, I don't know, EastEnders. But instead of that, you'd watch HotFix. You know what I mean? So that's the difference.
If only everyone who watched EastEnders instead watched HotFix, that'd
Wouldn't it get
amazing.
like 17 million views or something if that was the case?
That'd be quality. Ditch EastEnders, can watch HotFix instead.
Get Phil Mitchell on as a guest. He would be quality.
That'd be amazing.
You know what? Ian Beale is a massive gamer, and he's got a massive flight sim cockpit. Yeah, like a full-on cockpit. Get him on.
That's quality.
Buzzer. I'll call him Buzzer.
Wasn't Phil Mitchell the one who he did a load of? No, I'm thinking Ross Kemp.
No, that's Grant Mitchell, his brother, his odd brother. Yeah, the big one, the big odd.
He was. You see that thing where he went into the rainforest, look at like heroin production or something, and they pointed a gun at him and told him, and they were like, "You guys are going to give us your camera equipment," and he just grabs the gun and he just holds it and he just moves it and he goes, "You're not going to shoot me." And then the guy's like, he's pointing at him, and he just holds. He's like, "You're going to fucking shoot me? You're not going to shoot me. I know you're not going to shoot me." And they don't shoot him. They just carry on. It's like,
they're like, respect,
guy's
man.
Fucking solid. Anyway, hey, apparently it works. If you say it, they don't shoot you. So.
I've got to Google this shit. What the hell?
It's amazing. It's quality. That's. I think that might be the longest single topic discussion we've ever had on HotFix. But it was good.
It was beautiful.
I think should we move on to let's move on to Fig. Let's move on to Fig. Figgy.
No. I like figs,
so
actually,
Fig.
But
I like what are they? The fig biscuits, the little fig roll.
Yeah, fig roll. Fig roll. Yeah. Little fig paste.
Sadly, this isn't a fig roll. This is a website, and it is a platform for crowdfunding and investing in video games. So, I'm not going to read you the spiel actually, because it's just literally their website is just here is what all the things we do and how good it is. So at the moment you've got Kickstarter, and if you want to fund a game on Kickstarter, obviously you can. You pledge a certain amount, and then the game comes out, and you get a free copy of the game, and maybe your name in the end credits or something. And that's what
you only get a free copy of the game if that's the tier you've supported at. A lot of them with the $1 tiers or the real cheap tiers are just nothing. It's like,
you might
thanks
get
for
like
the support.
a thank you card or a thank you email or something. Fig is a new kind of funding platform, as they put it. So what you do with Fig is you don't kickstart, you invest. So there's already a catch, right? Now you probably think to yourself, so it's like Kickstarter, but I could go to Fig and I could go, I like your game, I'm going to invest $50. You can't do that. That's not how it works, because that's frankly, in terms of producing video games, a small pissy amount that no one cares about. Instead, it starts at like $1,000. You can only invest up to 10% of your income, and it starts at $1,000 is what I read. It's some kind of, there's a 10% limit somewhere in there, and the lowest is $1,000. You can obviously invest more if you want to. And so you invest in the thingy in the game. The game then gets funded, hopefully. The game then gets produced, and because you've invested, you then make money back off the thing you've invested in. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, this doesn't sound like a bad idea. Kickstarter is incredibly popular. Everyone likes Kickstarter. Look at the successes. Look at like Star Citizen and all that stuff. Which, by the way, I'm sure I read an article the other day about a guy who spent $32,000 in Star Citizen already. Some nutter who's bought like every ship or something. It was mental. I was like, mate, what?
What? Oh my god.
And yeah, so there's a couple of issues with this for me personally. Firstly, one of the founders of Fig was the chief operating officer for Double Fine. One of the other founders is the chief operating officer for Double Fine, who, Double Fine Productions, we know are excellent with money and always produce
especially
their stuff on
crowdsourced
time.
money.
Oh yes, they're brilliant with crowdsourced money.
It's not like they ever need to come back for more.
They also have a panel of advisory studios. So there's Brian Fargo from In Exile Entertainment. Now, in fairness, Wasteland 2,
they've done really well.
Torment, Tales of Numeria, Bard's Tale 4, they've done okay. Aaron Isaacson, who is the co-founder of Indie Fund, and that's just for game investment and stuff, so, no games to look out there. Then you've got Alex Rigopoulos, who is the co-founder and chief creative officer of Harmonix Studios. Then you've got Tim Schafer, oh dear me, who is the president and CEO of Double Fine Productions, who is known for, hilariously, they only list Psychonauts and Brutal Legend. They seem to be missing out on the latest round of titles that they've managed to eventually get to market.
But you see, you look at this thing, oh yeah, I've got the record-breaking $3.3 million crowdfunding campaign. It's like, I mean, I look at these. I mean, the guy at the bottom, okay, Obsidian Entertainment, that's fine. Obsidian. Brian Fargo knows what he's doing. Wasteland success. Wasteland 2's coming out, I think, as well, ain't it? It's or something. Yes. I don't know, but it's a major success. I think they had an enhanced edition was launched. It was launched on consoles as well. Major success. Indie Fund guy obviously knows about funding, game funding, investment. Fine. Harmonix, fine. Tim Schafer, not fine, because Tim Schafer does not know how to operate it doesn't. Right. Tim Schafer blocked me on Twitter.
I know, we're both blocked. Well. Talking about blacklisting, Tim Schafer has blocked both of us on Twitter.
But even if he hadn't blacklisted us, it would still be the same.
I just want to point out, I've never once directly, I've never done Tim Schafer ever. No, not once did I ever directly address Tim Schafer. That's what makes it funny that he blocked me. I don't know whether his game was
shit.
I said his game shit, but
Massive Chalice was shit. That's what I said was shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is a guy who is the CEO of a company, so he's in charge of a company that has run multiple Kickstarter campaigns, as disastrous games that have been launched that haven't been completed, has ran out of the money that he thought he would need, and then so needed more money to carry on. How can you take advice off this guy? It's just like it's like having somebody who doesn't know how to run a business give you advice on how to run a business. It just seems ludicrous to me. But the fact that he's associated with this, to me, just makes me laugh at the whole thing. I'm just like, well,
I found the figure, so I was kind of correct. So you can be you what, dog? You can be two things. There's an accredited investor and an unaccredited investor. And unaccredited investors or individuals will be able to invest no more than 10% of their annual income or net worth, with a minimum of $1,000 and a maximum of $10,000 for the next campaign that will launch on Fig, which is in December. So that's what that refers to. That's someone who is not accredited.
I'm looking at game campaigns here, and it's got like $1 tier, $10 tier, $25 tier.
I think
so. They want to be like Kickstarter as well.
So basically it's a combination. So you've got you've got the ability to invest as an unaccredited person between 1 and 10,000, no more than 10% of your income or net worth. If you're accredited, you can invest a lot more than that. I think it's about I think there was an upper limit of like 200,000 I saw as a as like an upper limit, which obviously you're only going to be doing if you've got cash monies to spare. But there's also like just a Kickstarter element where you just can give money. So it's like a mixture of the two. The problem for me is that firstly, I'm going to go ahead and assume that most of the people who are,
surely this is worse for you as a game company.
Well, yeah.
If you've got investors instead of straight up Kickstarter backers, then you're giving them percentages of your profits after you've...
Yeah, you stand to be giving more money back than if you just got the money straight from Kickstarter, which is really puzzling. Because the other thing as well is that Kickstarter... It's not made for investment. It wasn't built for investment. I don't think anyone ever looked at Kickstarter and was like, well, I'd love to give this company $10,000, but I'm not going to get anything back.
Yeah, it's just Joe Blogs like me and you, like, oh, I like the idea. It's $10.
And you might get the occasional nutter dropping 32 grand on a million ships in Star Citizen, but they are the outliers. They are so far like on the horizon, they may as well be a dot. You don't see them very often because, well, you wouldn't do that unless you're going to get something back, unless you had a shit ton of money and just felt like splurging it everywhere, in which case Kickstarter and Fig are interchangeable anyway. It just seems like a really, really odd way of trying to switch up how you crowdfund.
I'm sorry. I've looked at one game called Outer Wilds, right? And I've scrolled down.
That's the one that was funded.
Yeah, this is funded. But I've scrolled down to the bottom, and it's like $10,000, right? If you wanted to support this tier, this isn't for the investment. This is just for the, I want to support you with this tier.
Yeah. So hang on. Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
So it says you and a friend get to go on an astronomy-filled adventure with Massey, Alex, and the Outer Wilds team. Includes 2 nights of hotel stay, travel not included, for $10,000. Travel not included. It's like, what? A 2-night hotel stay with the team for $10,000, and you don't even get travel. I mean, I think for $10,000, I'd want travel.
So that is for a backer, not for an investor.
No, these are just for backers.
So firstly,
why is he an investor? Yeah.
Why is there any tier above 1,000 for backers? If as an unaccredited individual, you're able to invest between $1,000 and $10,000, provided it's it's no more than 10% of your net worth or yearly income, which I'd imagine $1,000 probably would be okay for most people, unless you're only making $10,000 a year, in which case you're not in any position to be backing games anyway. And the same probably goes, I mean, not all the way up to 10,000, but that $1,000 limit. Why would anyone choose to back more than like $999 if $1,000 is the cutoff point for investment? There's no point having that tier there. That's really bizarre. I don't understand why that's even an option.
Because an investor would be wanting to make money back. It's not. These are for fans with a lot of money. These are people who don't realise that they can be investors and make money, or for some weird reason just don't want to make money. They just want to give you the money. And apparently, I mean, we don't know what people's financial situations are. It can be hard for us to relate sometimes because there's a lot of people out there with inordinate amounts of money who just throw it all over the place and they don't care.
There's also, in a way, kind of an incestuous thing going on here as well with this. Because you've got these advisory these advisory guys from these studios who are, they're part of what's helping Fig to become a success. They're there to provide their input. I'm looking at Anchors in the Drift. Well, no, it's
true, but say it again.
Incestuous. It's the only way to describe it. So you've got here Anchors in the Drift. Now, this failed to reach its goal. It got $107,000 of $500,000, so no one gave a shit, apparently. Now, if you look here, under lead investor and co-creator of Farmville.
Yeah.
So this guy's like, I knew how to get involved in their latest project, blah, blah, blah. The second investor, I was absolutely blown away by the innovation and ambitiousness of Scribblenauts, so I can't wait to see Fifth Cell's next creative vision realised, says Alex Rigopoulos, CCO and co-founder of Harmonix, who happens to be part of the advisory board for the Fig website. Then you've got a guy from Obsidian Entertainment, which, that's fine, except I'm pretty sure, didn't we just list someone from Obsidian Entertainment as being one of the advisors. Yep.
Yep.
And then we've got Brian Fargo, who is the CEO of In Exile Entertainment, who is also one of the advisors for the FIG website. So, was this started as a way for investors to get for game fans who want to be investors to get involved in games development and earn money back off it? Or is this a method for a group of people who have started a website that is supposed to be some sort of Kickstarter competition to invest in projects that they want to see profit from? Just out of interest. I mean, I only say that because 3 out of the 4 investors listed for the second crowdfunding campaign have direct ties to the studios that are advising this.
I wonder how many people. I wonder how many people with their Kickstarter campaigns have actually gone in and dropped money on. Well, I can imagine they have. You know, like you get like a big Kickstarter campaign kicks off, and then suddenly there's loads of like $1,000, $3,000, $5,000 tiers that are getting filled up.
Yeah,
maybe that is them doing it, but I guess you would kind of never know. I wouldn't put it past them. But this is even worse because it's on their own platform and they're trying to make it look like it's successful. So they're basically pumping money into their own business. It's almost, dare I say, like putting fake Amazon product reviews onto shit on Amazon for your product of some sort of back-scratching implement, which you think
is perhaps
the best.
Funding an indie studio to produce a game when you're a YouTube personality and then playing said game without disclosing the fact that you stand to get profit from that game becoming successful. It's pretty much exactly the same. I mean, the fact that it's so tied into Double Fine is already a reason for me to avoid it like the fucking plague. But having the actual advisors come in and support, like invest in the stuff and go, I can't wait to see what these guys do next on the platform that I'm helping to become successful. Well, no, you probably can't, because if it succeeds, you get paid. Does that not seem slightly unethical to you? Maybe slightly. I do not like it. Just feels greasy. That's the only way to put it. It feels like,
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
Not a fan. Oh yes, okay. I'll tell you what. I think what we'll probably do this week is we won't reel off like a whole ton of smaller topics because I feel like we've had some really good discussions about the 2 things we've talked about. And I don't want to end it with like a minute on like 8 different topics, like one after the other, because it'd feel a bit spammy. But there are a couple of other things that are pretty funny this week. I like the food spam. I don't like the internet spam. So Dead or Alive Facebook page says Dead or Alive Xtreme 3 won't head west. This. If you weren't sick of all the SJW comments on that Overwatch video you did, then prepare for the worst. It looks like Dead or Alive Xtreme 3 will not be released in the West. Comments on the official Dead or Alive Facebook page indicate Dead or Alive Xtreme 3 due out on PlayStation 4 and Vita in Japan in February 2016.
I'm loving this video. Get some birds on inflatables, just fucking having tug of war in the pond. In the pond,
in the pond. Will not come out in Europe or North America. The comments are
I'd go on this holiday,
but suggest publisher Koei Tecmo has opted against bringing in the game out on these shores because of issues regarding the representation of women in video games. Dead or Alive Xtreme 3 is a beach volleyball spin-off from the fighting game series and features bikini-clad women characters. The video below gives you an idea of what it's about. We'll put that on in a second. In fact, hang on.
I watched it right now, and it's just like, what the hell?
So
this is stupid.
So the statement that was made on the Facebook page by Koei Tecmo, it is as follows: we do not bring DOAX3 to the West and won't have any plan change in the future. Thank you for asking. Do you know many issues happening in video game industry with regard to how to treat female in video game industry? We do not want to
translation ever.
We do not want to talk about those things here, but certainly we have gone through in last year or two to come to our decision. Thank you. Now, ignoring the fact that is the least informative press statement or like PR statement ever made, and yeah, we did put the video on. The implication there, regardless of how badly translated that is that people are kicking up a fuss about how women are portrayed in video games in the West. Japan, they don't give a shit about how they treat women in video games, as
Of
evidenced
any age.
of any age, as evidenced by the fact that they thought that changing a 13-year-old in a swimsuit to a 15-year-old in a swimsuit was somehow more acceptable. And the implication is that because we in the West have such a strong opinion about how women are treated in video games, they just won't bother publishing the game over here because, you know, people will be upset. The thing is, the way they've phrased it, you know, that's what's implied. That's what you'd think, isn't it? That it's just like, oh well, we don't have to deal with all the whiny Westerners talking about how we shouldn't have women in bikinis in pools playing tug of war. It kind of leaves out the fact that, I mean, I'm assuming they've done some sort of market research or something, or they might have asked people, or they might have looked at sales figures for previous games. I find it difficult to believe that a publisher or developer of a video game would look at people complaining on Tumblr and then use that as their basis as to whether to release their games in another country. Could it not perhaps be that part of it is that no fucker plays it? No one buys it. By all accounts, they're not very good games.
It looks like shit anyway. Well, it looks shit.
This is the thing. Oh, apparently it's just, they're not good. They are not good games. It's just like, it's basically softcore porn for people who don't know that Pornhub exists. It's just, I don't know. The general response to this seems to have been one of, oh, the fucking SJWs are at it again. We're being censored. All this stuff, you know, feminazis are ruining video games. All our favourite video games are being cancelled. When in reality, it could be
just a shit game.
In reality, it could be that they have maybe done a little bit of market research, like as what every developer and publisher do, before they release a game anywhere, because there's no point releasing a game somewhere if it's not going to earn it back. If you did an entire localization for like America, UK, Europe, you know, every English-speaking country, like if translated into German, French, all of that, and then your game sold fuck all copies, well, I got news for you. That costs money, and you've just wasted it. You've wasted a vast amount of cash on localizing a game that no one's going to play. So I really feel like they may have made a really badly translated kind of, oh, the people don't like seeing naked women anymore statement on Facebook. But it could be a very badly worded way of saying, well, we've looked at it and it turns out that the West don't really give a shit about titty games anymore because we're not living in the 1990s and the internet exists. And people at this point have realised that if you want to get off to women's beach volleyball, you can actually just watch videos of it on YouTube if you really have to. And so there's no point. There's just no point releasing the game anywhere else but in Japan because no bugger's going to buy it. And therefore, we're not going to release it.
So then it begs the question, why is it like Microsoft and whatever bother releasing games like Halo and all their shit in Japan where it sells like 10 copies and no fucking buys it? It's like, what?
Well, this is the other thing as well. It says Team Ninja has in the past pointed to a cultural barrier between Japan and the West.
Cultural barrier between Japan and me. I don't understand. You know, I was discussing this on the Warhammer streams I do on a Sunday on twitch.tv/unitlost at 3 p.m. GMT. I can plug my own shit on my own shit. I mean, come on.
It was just so smoothly done. That's all it was. It wasn't.
They were like, this is where the whole thing of the 13, the swimsuit thing was getting discussed. You know, it was changed from 13 to 15, as if 15 is somehow more acceptable than 13. And I'm just like, I don't like. And I went into a massive rant about Steins Gate, about how there's this character who's like 30-odd-year-old geezer who is after like schoolgirls, and it's just like you'd be arrested and put in prison with Rolf Harris. I kept saying you'd be Rolf Harris's next door neighbor or something. It was like it's not even like, I don't know how that can be considered culturally acceptable.
That
is, if I had a daughter, Mr. Kirioth is soon to have a daughter, and some geezer was coming around your daughter when she was 12 and 13, you would fucking murder him. You would lock him up.
A serious
you wouldn't be like,
with that
oh yeah, this is fine. He would be dead. It is fact. So is this acceptable in Japan? Oh, my 13-year-old's got a 30-year-old boyfriend. Does that happen? I don't know. I don't live in Japan. I'm not qualified to say. But to me, it's disgusting.
Yeah, pretty much.
And to everybody else in the West, nobody can say that's acceptable behaviour. You can't even say, oh, that's their culture. It's a child. You fucking weirdo.
The open letter to Japan. That's you're right though. There is a massive, and it shows whenever stuff like this comes around, and there's always this kind of censorship, this is bullshit. No, not really. I don't think it's been acceptable in the West to look at people like that. Especially
this isn't
at that
censorship.
For
this case
a long
for the
time.
volleyball game. No, it hasn't. This case isn't censorship though, because this is where you come to the whole argument of, well, you should be able to make what you want to make, and that's fine. You should be able to, but you can't make some sort of paedophilic bullshit game and send that out to the West because, well, no.
I mean, even if you want to approach it from sort of cold marketing terms, the fact that cultural gap exists means that such a product would not find a place in the West, because that's not the culture that
wasn't having images of indecent images of children not illegal in Japan or something ridiculous. Is it still not illegal, or they only recently changed it? There was some sort of law, and I just couldn't believe it when I seen it. I was like, how can that not be illegal?
Yeah, it's really bizarre, and I have to question as well. I know there's this whole thing of people should be able to like what they like and stuff, and with this I'm talking about Dead or Alive, not the 13-year-old changed to a 15-year-old game. But if you're really brutally honest with yourself, what exactly are you missing by not being able to play Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 3? Is it? Are you upset that you're going to miss the latest gameplay innovations?
And let me stress as well,
in the volleyball spin-off of a fighting game.
They're not censoring you here. They're just choosing not to release it in these territories because it won't make them money. That is it. You could actually order the game from.
Well, yeah, you could just import it.
Play Asia. I think it's called Play Asia or something, and you can import any game from Asia. So yeah, it might. Yeah, so you can still get it. It's not like you're censored. But they're just saying, okay, this game wouldn't do well in the West because we believe the way it depicts women is not too good. And I'm thinking, well, it's just a shit-looking game. That's why it ain't going to do very well in the West.
Well,
because
Western, as well is that...
Here's another thing. This might be completely different, or not even real. But this is based off just bits and pieces I've seen of Japan. I think Japan has got. I think it's got a high suicide rate with like young males and whatever,
it has.
because I think they're all loners in some kind of weird. It's something to do with the way their culture operates. It isn't like, it's not like here where you just like, yeah, man, everyone's like chums with people. I think everyone's really reserved with their culture, so they don't go out and just openly go, all right, mate, how you doing, or any of that shit. They only talk to people that they kind of know. But if they don't know anyone, they don't talk to anyone. So maybe you've got this whole like culture of Japanese males, or even females as well, who buy these sort of games, and that's kind of their like, oh yeah, maybe that's what it is. In the West, we're just like, what the fuck is this shit? Because we're more, and I've seen things as well. This is going off on a bit of a tangent. Japan has a serious problem with entrepreneurial behavior. Japan has just got major companies, Sony, Panasonic, Honda, Toyota, all these big companies, and that's it. In Japan, there's not this like go out on your own and do your own thing, become your own man, become your own like. Go out and let's start a business. Go out and let's do this. Where in the West, you get a lot of that. And they said Japan suffers on the world stage because it doesn't have innovations coming out of the country. It's just got these big established companies that are big. Let's not. Sony's a big company. Panasonic is a big company. These are fucking massive companies. But the actual like the mentality of the people. This is where we start going into all the cultural differences. Because again, I don't fully understand. But what I'm just trying to say is maybe that's why games like that work better in their country than they would in this country, because you would think you're a bit of a sad idiot sitting there playing a beach volleyball game. Like Kiri said, if you really wanted to see that, you could go and see it. You could probably go and see it naked and all kinds of shit if you wanted to.
Well, the other thing as well is that for all the kind of SJW reactionary bullshit that people like to spout these days, and I swear that's getting worse and worse now. You can be called an SJW for anything at this point. I think it just means now SJW just means someone who has a different opinion to you is basically what it's shorthand for.
Somebody who's I don't even understand it. And am I pro Gamergate? I don't know. Gamersgate? Gamergate's website.
I don't even know what it is.
I don't know.
But when like for Dead or Alive, when they're sort of like, oh well,
this is how you solve. This is how you solve. No,
shut up.
This is how you
solve.
Stop
interrupting me. Shut your mouth. I'm talking.
No, this is action. This is how you solve people who are social justice warriors and people who moan about representation of women in games. They stand up, they walk out their door, and realise there's a world out there beyond their little screen.
Well, this is what kind of is especially bad about this. If everything we've said about, people aren't going to buy it, there's no market study, it's just, people whine about how women are represented in the West, so on and so forth, and that's the actual reason they've decided not to release it, which would be mental. Like, from a purely business standpoint, to make a decision like that purely based off reading shit on Reddit and Tumblr and wherever, that's insanity. Any company that does that, I would not expect to last very long, because they clearly don't know what the fuck they're doing. But if that were the case, what does it say about the confidence you have in your product as something that is more than simply a naked girl simulator, that you are so scared of the backlash of people bitching about it that you refuse to release that product anywhere other than your safe area of Japan? So even if it is the case that it's like, we're worried about people getting up in arms because, we're treating women badly or so on and so forth, if you were confident that you weren't releasing the game for that reason, then what's the problem? Like, if you actually believe that the game is worth buying, if you believe that it's good, that it brings something, that it's actually worth the effort of making to begin with, then you wouldn't care about any of that, because you'd be able to stand by the decisions you've made in terms of the design of the characters and the way they're dressed and the way they behave, and say, this is what we wanted to do, and this is why it is integral for this game. Unless you did in fact just make like a volleyball game that is designed purely so that people can watch women in small bikinis bounce their tits all over the place, in which case you do have every right to sit there and go, maybe people aren't going to like this, because it turns out you haven't made something that's worthy of any sort of artistic integrity, and you've just made some voyeuristic fucking fan service bullshit simulator. It's just pathetic. It's like, it's nothing to do with censorship. It's everything to do with having confidence in the product. And if they do actually think to themselves, we can't release this in the West because they'll hate it, then that means that they think they've created a shit product. And to be honest, looking at the video of it, they have created a shit product. And so I don't give a fuck that it's not being sold in the West, because no one should fucking buy it anyway. God damn.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway,
Lord.
I tell you what, let's do one more thing, because this is kind of, I don't know whether this is Ubisoft going back to its old ways or whether it's them actually attempting to, still make amends for all the hassle and shit they've caused. But the Rainbow Six Siege open beta has been delayed. So as Rock Paper Shotgun says, you know how the open beta test for Ubisoft's wall-reaching tactical FPS Rainbow Six Siege is meant to be going on now? By this point, you should have been gleefully barreling through walls, turning floors into doors, and generally murdering people. Alas, technical problems popped up, and Ubisoft have kept the beta closed for a while longer until they figure it out. No firm word yet on when it will launch. Game sessions are not starting properly, and we've encountered server issues leading to failed connections. We've identified the root issue that was introduced after the technical test while fixing a separate aspect of the game. Siege is due to launch on September 1st, and Ubisoft say they're confident it'll be fine by then.
Fine. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days.
Yeah,
to fix whatever's wrong with their server infrastructure.
They've got 5 days to fix the game that was supposed to be an open beta, but was so buggy
what are they doing?
In game-breaking ways that they can't even go through with it.
Hang on. So this game has been closed beta for a while, which we don't have access to because Ubisoft don't know. So people have been playing it for a while. So the game obviously works, right? But they've got a problem with scaling up.
I've seen fucking videos of it, like on YouTube.
So they got a problem with scaling up with more users, yeah?
Yeah.
So I gotta ask them. I've really, honestly, seriously got to ask them why they were doing this open beta, which obviously was designed to stress test the servers 5 days before the game launched. We've just done a stress test, one of many for Overwatch. Not out until next year.
I know.
But why would Blizzard must have some of the best server infrastructure, server fucking engineers, God knows what, because they've been running a fucking MMO for we don't even know how long. Well, we do 11 years. That was actually the other day. We don't even know how long. Actually, 11 years. Yeah. So even they were like, well, we need at least a year to sort this out. But no. Ubisoft and the boys at fucking Siegeland, they don't need that shit. They need 5 days, mate. And it'll work, mate. Oh, it didn't work, mate. Shit. I bet you bottom dollar now, Mr. Kirioth, there are people going fucking wild over there, going to be pulling all-nighters trying to work out what the fuck has happened to the server.
Absolutely.
And they won't. And it'll launch and it'll be a shit show.
Well, this is the thing. They've been delaying games.
Because we'll say it's a shit show when it's launched.
They've been delaying games left, right, and centre ever since Unity. In fact, ever since Steam refunds, to be more precise. They've been delaying shit all over the place because they cannot risk another massive fallout like that again. And the fact that they're like a week before launch for one of their biggest titles. I mean, the return of Rainbow Six is a big deal. Like it's got a really big, it's got a massively dedicated fan base, and somehow it's managed to do something that a lot of shooters haven't done, which is alienate that fan base. It's not as big as Call of Duty or Battlefield, but there's like a core demographic of people who absolutely love the series and play every single one. You don't want to fuck that up. So why would you delay other games to the point where PC versions are coming out like a month after the other versions, or like look at The Division. The Division is, I don't even know when that's out yet. Sometime next year, maybe. Probably get.
I don't even know what the game is.
It'll probably get pushed to 2017 in the end. To do all of that, get to the day of launching the open beta, and then go to everyone who's downloaded it, which, by the way, I did, because I realised they might not give us a key for release, but we can get into the open beta. You've got to find ways around this. Learn from Kotaku.
Is that some sort of sister site they've just started?
Everyone has exactly opposite views to the ones on the main site. Makes it really confusing. To allow people to download it, to have everyone install it, everyone ready to go. It's like, yes, open beta time for Rainbow Six. Oh, it doesn't work. Sorry, guys, but don't worry. It might not work. It might be so broken we can't have anyone playing it, and we're going to cancel the open beta altogether until further notice. And I know the game's coming out in like a week, but it'll be fine by then. Don't worry about it. They cannot fuck this up. They can't. They've already... they've set themselves up for catastrophic failure here because they have cancelled an open beta for a game that, when it was in closed beta, worked. It's gone to open beta. They've cancelled it because it stopped working. The game don't work. You can't play it. It's unplayable. But they've only got a week before release. So what do? Are they going to release it in a state if they can't fix it? Or are they going to have to say, like, a couple of days before it's due to come out, you know how all of our marketing's been pushed for December 1st? We're going to have to push it back. It's going to be early 2016.
Well, really, what games are launching now? We've had the massive flurry of releases. It was just sort of like the dribble into December, and then it's sort of, we calm down again.
But December's not a bad time to release games because you get a bit of that Christmas marketing.
I don't know, though. I don't know, because I think what happens is a lot of people, they get a hit, don't they, in December? It's like, oh shit, it's Christmas, we've got to sort our shit out. But these guys in November are buying your Call of Duties and your Battlefronts and your other shit. So it's aimed at them, isn't it? Siege. Yeah. It is aimed at those. So are they going to then buy it once they've already got 2 FPS games that they're playing? Yeah, but then, so what I'm saying is the delay, I don't think it matters if it was like, oh, it's a week delay extra or something. It's months of a delay.
Do you think it'd be better off if they just delayed the
next year? Well, we don't know what they're actually going to launch next year, do we? So they know, so they don't want to interfere with all the shit. I mean, I guess that what they probably don't want is that you'll probably start seeing more Far Cry Medieval or whatever the fuck.
I would totally play Fallout Medieval. Not Fallout, god damn it. Far Cry Medieval. I'd play that.
Maybe they're going to start spamming that out, and they don't want Rainbow Six in that because they've probably got plans to advertise DLC for Rainbow Six like that.
Where's For Honor? When's that coming out? I haven't heard anything about that for ages. I want that game.
2016, probably, innit?
I want it now.
Won't get it though. Fuck you.
But I don't mind if they delay it. I want it now, but I don't mind if they delay it. Yeah, I think we're going to leave it there. I think it's been a really good hotfix. We had some really good topics this week. What is it? Quality over quantity? Probably.
But quantity has got a quality all of its own.
Is that true?
Stalin said when he built fucking loads of tanks and sent them after Germany.
Oh,
Stalin said it.
I suppose
maybe it was Lenin. It was some Soviet madman said it, and they were like
some Soviet madman.
They were like because it was in reference to the quality of the German army to theirs, which was much higher. But then they just said quantity has a quality all of its own. And then I'm afraid when you've got one super Tiger tank sitting there and 50 half-made shit tanks come after you, I don't think you can win. But I think you die. I think that's what happened.
Just box it in. Make it so you can't go anywhere. Just drive
box it in.
Box it in. Just drive them all around and just...
They did that.
Didn't they just surround them with like masses of tanks and just like make it so they couldn't go anywhere and just unload into them over and over again.
The later German tanks, so like the Panzer, tank, I think it's the Mark IV, that could be penetrated by I think it's a T-32, could penetrate that. But the tanks after that, so like Tigers and Panthers and God knows what, they were invincible. Like they had to be shot in the rear, but they were like powerful. Like if they shot one of the Russian tanks, they'd blow the shit out of it, and they'd be like fucking getting mega kills. There's a guy, I forget what his name is. He's like a famous tank commander, a German tank commander, and he like wrecked loads. He wrecked the British and everybody. He was just getting like mega kills because his tank was so good. But there's only like 2 or 3 of these tanks in one little thing where they're against like 50 Shermans or something. They can't win because the Shermans just would go all around them and shoot them. Like the Russians would do the same thing. The Russians also strapped bombs to dogs and taught dogs to run into tanks and then detonated the bombs.
Well, didn't they? I'm sure I read something. I don't know whether it's one of those kind of like urban legend things. Didn't they train them using their own tanks at first? And so they'd let them loose and the dog would immediately run under their own tank because that's what they've been trained to recognise.
I don't know about that. Well, I've seen footage of them detonating dogs. But it was under German tanks because all they do was they put treats under the tank. So the dog would be like, oh, go and get a treat. And it'd run under the tank and get it. And then when there was no tanks around, they obviously, if you just let the dogs go when the German tanks were coming, you know, like in Kursk or somewhere, and they're coming towards you, your dogs are going to run up to the tank's not going to be able to shoot the dog. Well, it might be able to, but it would probably think, what the hell is an attack dog coming towards us for? Like a red alert, 2 attack dogs coming in, and then it goes under your tank. And you're like, what the hell? And it just fucking blows the tank up. I don't know how effective they were, but I know it was something that they used.
I just feel bad for the dogs. They never signed up for that. They just
I know, imagine the poor dog is going to get a treat. They wouldn't know much about it. I suppose
die happy, I guess.
No, because you get under the tank. Blown up.
Yeah, true. Wankers. Don't use dogs for that. God's sake.
Hang on. So just because
your entire country is at risk of being taken over by the Nazis, you rescue the dogs.
Inflicted 20 million casualties on Russia.
And
20 million.
How many were dogs, though? That's the important
19 million. Although everybody seems to forget that Stalin was the worst butcher. He butchered like Ukrainian people and all kinds of people through famine.
It's always, Hitler's the worst. Yeah, Hitler is pretty bad, but Stalin was pretty bad. Stalin wasn't great either. It wasn't it wasn't some sort of benevolent. Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
All loving.
Yeah, that's the one.
I know omnipresent is just everywhere, and omniscient is like all powerful.
I'm pretty sure Stalin wasn't either of those. Anyway, that's how did we end up on that?
And if you want to see a real disaster horror show, you should watch Man in the Eye Castle, because that's what would happen if Germany were victorious in a certain way.
I need to watch that. I still need to watch that. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it does it like I think the United Kingdom, Great Britain, when France were attacked, we just said fuck you, and we just carried on, and we've still got a big empire, I think. And the Russians got murdered. Well, obviously Germany killed France, then murdered Russia, and then Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. But I think at the same time, Germany started attacking America and landed troops. And then I think they A-bombed them. They dropped a nuke on Washington, I think. And then America were like, so they capitulated. But I still think in that universe that we're powerful, but it doesn't say much about us. But I think according to the books, I think we are. I think we're just like this wanker empire who were like, and our neighbor was like, we're getting killed. We're like, fuck you. And we just carried on. I think, anyway. So it's, I don't know, alternate history stuff always makes me laugh.
I want to go and watch that, but we got to record Pubcast instead. Boo, boo. No, not really. I like Pubcast. I'll just watch it afterwards and just do nothing else.
Watch it during?
Watch it during a live broadcast of that'll get. I wonder how quickly that'll get taken down. Instantly, or before it's even finished uploading.
The copyright infringement is real.
Someone has just come round your house. You slam it onto YouTube. It's like 1% upload, and you get a knock on the door.
Yeah, but I'd say, hey,
Amazon says no.
I'm a Twitch partner, Amazon. I'm a Twitch partner. Can you use your stuff? I'm afraid you can't buy them. I should get free Amazon shipping off them wankers. Anyway,
I like how we stopped talking about stuff in the industry on a quality over quantity basis, and then just talked about nothing for a quarter of an hour. It's the way to go every single time. Make sure to come back at 2 p.m. on Saturday. I, for some reason, forgot when it went live, even though I do it every single week, for Pubcast. If you enjoyed Hotfix, there's a thingy up there, there's a thingy down there to support via Patreon. It is greatly appreciated, and we love you long time. And we'll see you for the next one.
Toodaloo, ladies and gentlemen.